16, I started doing heroin, and until the age of 22.
Sometimes people have situations in their life and circumstances which
pressures of life
which they cannot handle, so therefore they end up turning to the wrong things, such as drink or drugs.
Some people turn to alcohol for a form of comfort, drugs for a form of comfort, but once it gets hold of them, it's no longer a comfort, it's a control.
I've just learnt to I've learnt it don't matter what people say about you, only thing what matters what God sees you at.
In 1958, David Wilkerson, a 26-year-old pastor of an Assemblies of God church, left Phillipsburg in Pennsylvania to go to the streets of Brooklyn, New York, with the intention of introducing the Lord Jesus to the street gangs who were fighting turf wars. Already, drugs and alcohol were very much a part of the lifestyle of the young men and women. This led to the birth of Teen Challenge, which was at first known as Teenage Evangelism. Now, more than 50 years on, Teen Challenge operates in more than 70 countries around the world.
The ethos of Teen Challenge is tough love, really. It's about reaching people who are lost. It's about showing them the way to a better life. It's giving them hope. There's always hope, and that hope is in Christ. So if we can share Christ with somebody, then that's what we aim to do.
Teen Challenge Doncaster started working the streets of the town in January 2007 with the use of a small bus which came from Leeds every Saturday night. For about 6 months, the team worked alongside Christ Church in Thorne Road prior to moving into the church building itself.
Well, our main goal and that is obviously to introduce them to Jesus. We befriend them as much as we can, in one sense, as they even allow us. I've never been a drug addict. Thankfully, Jesus found me before I got to that age group, etc., and gave me hope and a future.
Teams of 3 people at a time would go and walk the streets of the town looking for addicts.
Will I leave you can then?
Yeah. Leave your can and come with us.
The team would invite them back to the church where they could be supplied with refreshments and donated clothing. The work begins by giving out cuppa soups, coffee, tea and sandwiches to the homeless, alcohol and drug addicts.
He has, but don't
This
worry.
is my soup, you want to ask for chicken?
I could fight him, you know.
You know, the sheep's continually...
The volunteers will spend time with the new clients and share with them the love of God, a specific focus being on people who have lost their way in life.
Sometimes they get diseases, and if you think about it, in some ways...
How does one begin a life of addiction?
Nobody ever sets out when you're a child, do you, to think, oh yes, when I grow up I want to be a drug addict or an alcoholic. I think we all set out with intentions in life that we want to achieve something.
When I was back in school, when I was a kid and everything, I knew like I had big dreams, you know. I wanted to be an army just like my dad, you know. And then I was good at sports, and I was just really a really good boy, you know.
Sometimes people have situations in their life and circumstances which
pressures of
life which they cannot handle, so therefore they end up turning to the wrong things, such as drink or drugs. In reality, it doesn't take that many hits of a drug such as heroin for you in order to become fixed on it. So then you have to take more of the drug to become feeling normal again. So there's a vicious spiral really for somebody who's a drug addict. They might start off at the top and they have their first hit, and after that first hit they never have that same high again, and it's always about trying to get to that level until you go further down the spiral where it's just about trying to be normal again.
So how did you get involved in taking drugs?
But it's a long story. When I was in school, I must be about 13 years old or something like that. My friends, like everyone start like smoking cigarettes and all that, you know. And in those days, everyone thought like they were cool smoking cigarettes. So I was one of them. So I started smoking cigarettes. Bit by bit, I laid on to do smoking cannabis. And like we used to smoke cannabis like on weekends and everything. We went up to like 3 or 4 times a week, and then we knew like we were smoking every day, and bit by bit that led on to like do ecstasy and all the party drugs. And then we started taking party drugs, and then first it was like, you know, on weekends doing parties, this and that, but led on to do like 7 days a week. And when I was about 16, one of my mates, they came and they introduced me to heroin. And I didn't know what it was and what it was going to do to me. No one told me about the bad effects of heroin in my life, you know. Well, and they said, well, this is the stuff, you know, you got to try this, and it's gonna give you the relief, like it's like no other drugs. And they all said about good things about heroin. So when I first took heroin, I smoked it, and yeah, it was something like that, you know, like what they said. And then we started smoking heroin like it was once a week. Later on to do like 3 times a week, and you start smoking every other week. And then about 2 weeks down the line, I knew like I was addicted to heroin, and that led on to do that heroin trapped me in this grief for another 2 years. And after that I started smoking. I started injecting heroin, and that was the lowest bit in my life.
So during that period of time, did you think that you could just easily walk away from the drugs, that you could quit at any time? It was so easy.
Well, first I thought, yeah, that was true, but after I got addicted to heroin, I knew like my life was over.
So the heroin was controlling your destiny?
Yeah.
We try to gain some confidence so that we can share what Jesus has done for us in our lives. When you look at some of these young people, some of them have gone through some tragic losses early on in life, and it's driven them to look for another alternative or a comfort. Some people turn to alcohol for a form of comfort, drugs for a form of comfort. But once it gets hold of them, it's no longer a comfort, it's a control, and it begins to destroy their lives. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to show them that there is a better way, that doesn't harm your health, that actually gives you better health, that gives you a better future. And we really want to bring these young men and women, and older men and women that get caught up in this, back into a relationship, and bring them into a relationship with Jesus Christ, who will support them through all that they have need of. And really what our desire is to see them to come back into society as worthwhile people that can actually have an input back into society, rather than as we see them today, being people who are constantly taking from society.
I think when I started using drugs, I lost something within me. I no longer knew like who I was. Now I was self-pity. I used to look at other people and, you know, just self-pity myself so down, you know. I started thinking about like committing suicide and all that, you know. Well, there were lots of people that tried to help me, but I couldn't just accept these people because I was so down in life, you know. Couldn't see myself coming out of drugs. Yeah, it was like living in hell. You can say that, yeah.
Just recently heard a story of a young woman who was drunk actually, with a number of friends. Pretty young lady, was going out with another alcoholic, and he told me the next at one of the meetings where he came that she'd fallen downstairs and broken her neck and died. And I said to him, do you not see the damage that alcohol can do to you? Can you not see what we're trying to share with you and the reasons why we want to see you set free from alcohol? Because in the end, it will kill.
Yeah.
It will kill. It's a legalised substance, but it does kill.
What you can identify and share with them is the love of Jesus Christ, which reaches out to anybody, no matter where we are or what situations or circumstances we've been through in our life. We've all had issues and problems, but thankfully the love of Christ has covered us, so we need to share that with people and help them to understand how much Jesus loves them and wants them to have a better life, really.
I've learnt it don't matter what people say about you, only thing what matters what God sees you at.
But we see that they have a real need of Jesus. What started the change in your life?
In short form, it was Jesus. Well, you can take it this way. When I was on drugs, there was a lady called Ina, a Scottish lady called Ina, and she was Christian. And the first time she saw me, she tried to, she said something like, God can help you, Jesus can help you, And I just laughed at her, and that was it really. And she knew she wasn't going to get near to me, So the next time she came to my house, she came as a friend. She brought me food and everything, and she was always there. And no matter how many times I tried to run away from her, she was always there for me, It took me about 2 years, and then after 2 years, we started developing this relationship as a brother and sister, And then one day she invited me to come to church, so I went to church, I couldn't deny her, so we went to church, and that was it. I heard about God, and it really, the pastor preached about God in such a way, I knew maybe this could be my last chance, maybe God could help me, just maybe, that was it really. And the third time when I went to church, Aina introduced me to a different lady, and this lady, she was sort of pastor, so she told me about God in such a clear way, and I knew that was it, God could help me, but I didn't know how, because I had a big problem in my life.
Looking back now, I'll say God pointed me in that direction and led me to work for Teen Challenge. Went along to the meeting and thought, this is where I need to be, really. This is, I would like to think somebody would reach me if I was in that situation.
What did you do to begin to get off the drugs and to break the addiction? What happened next?
Well, after I knew God. What you mean after I knew God?
Yeah. What did you do next then?
Well, people told me if I'm really sincere within me, and ask God for help, God can help me. So, because I've tried everything in life, I tried medication, I tried cold turkey, I tried, you can say lots of stuff, but I couldn't, somehow one way or another I was always ending up in drugs. And this time it was different, because I knew in my heart that I needed someone who can really, really help me, and it was just God. So I really cried out to God deep within from my heart, I said, Lord God, if you're really true, if you can really, really help me, you gotta help me, because without you I'm dead, and I'm already a dead person, And then when I cried out to God that night, I can remember very well that day. I didn't feel like angels came and helped me or something like that. But the next morning when I woke up, I felt like, I don't know, it was strange. I couldn't just point my finger at it, you know. I didn't know what it was, but I knew, like, you know, I was going to be all right. And within about a week later, I got a phone call from Teen Talent, and they told me, like, there's a bed for me. And I think that was God opening doors for me to help me get out of my addiction.
So what did that consist of when you went down there? What had you got to do when you got down there?
Well, actually, I come from a Hindu background. Well, I was brought up in such a way, like, my mom, she used to go to temple. She always asked me to go to temple with her, but I would say, like, no, Mom, look at the image, you know, I don't fit in temple, you know. Well, that sort of lifestyle. But when I went to Teen Talent, I think it was a culture shock, you know. I'd never seen so many people, like, praising God, raising their hand, jumping around here and there, you know. At first I thought it was madhouse, but, like, everyone told me, like, they used to be drug addicts as well, and I couldn't believe, because they all looked really strong, healthy, smiley and all that, you know. But I've seen something in those guys, you know, and I thought, yeah, maybe I'm in the right place, you know.
We've had a number of people who made that commitment to Christ. Yes, they might have backslidden, or they might not be going along with the Lord as we'd like them to.
This July the 9th this year, it would have been 3 years, but I ended up having a relapse January, New Year's Eve last year. I went from Teen Challenge back home to Doncaster for a couple of months, and I went back into my old ways, and I was doing things what I shouldn't have been doing, which were not edifying to God.
The effect of drugs in my life, it was too strong. The hold was too strong. Even though I really wanted to, like, sort my life out, after 2 weeks being in Teen Talent, the pain was so hard that I left Teen Talent. Well, people tried their best to stop me, but they couldn't, you know.
If you've been off the gear for quite a long time, what actually is it that causes the relapse? You know, do you meet up with some old mates again?
Yeah. I had a drink.
Yeah, right.
I'd had a drink before it would be New Year's Eve. So I thought, right, I'd have a couple of drinks to celebrate New Year's Eve in. But with me not drinking for 18 months, the few I did have, what I thought I'd be okay with, be able to handle, I was drunk as a newt. And I bumped into the wrong kind of people in town, and I had money on me, and they were going to score.
Right. So how long did it go on for after that before you...
just the once.
Just the once?
And then I was just there, because at those days, the rule was, once you leave Teen Talent, you weren't allowed to get back to Teen Talent the same day. So when I was in bus stop, I started thinking about where I'm going to go, where I'm going to sleep that night, what I'm going to eat, because I had no money. I just had 2 bags full of, like, old clothes, you know.
But, you know, Jesus still loves them. We still love them. That's why we're there Friday night after Friday night, because it might be that one chance that we get to say to somebody, Jesus loves you. That will still be in the heart when they're in a difficult situation, or when they're at their lowest point. That will stay in their heart, and they'll call back to them, and then they'll call to the Lord for that love. And He responds all the time.
For the second time in my life, I knew that I made a very big mistake, you know, and I said, look, God, deep in my heart, you know, I knew, like, I said, look, God, if you give me a second chance in life, I'm ready, you know, I'll grab that with both my hands. And then, surprisingly, there was a staff member called Mark Clark from Wembley, and he was there for shopping or whatever, and he saw me there. So he came to me, he got my bags, and he said, come with me. So he took me to McDonald's, we had some food, took me back to Teen Talent. And because of God's grace, you know, everyone had mercy in me, and they took me back the same day. And I thank everybody in Teen Talent for giving me that second chance, you know. And because of them, their help in my life through God, today I stand here.
So how long were you in Teen Challenge?
I was there for about just over 3.5 years. well, I had a long program, you know, with discipline and all that. Well, I managed to complete Teen Challenge program after 15 months. And when I was there, well, I won't say it was an easy program, because it was like, I don't know, some days it was all right, and some days you have a very, really hard time. And I knew like I had to go through that, you know, because of those hard times, it really changed me as a person. And after 15 months, when I completed the program, I went on to do Teen Challenge Training Institute, you know. It's like a school of ministry where you get discipleship about following Jesus and all that, you know, and really good stuff. So I went on to do that for about 6 months. I completed school of ministry, and then they offered me a job. So yeah, I started working there as a staff member for about 2 years.
I think our success rate is definitely higher than the secular system for rehabilitation, because the secular system will only offer you things such as Subutex or maybe
drug substitutes, and whereas what we offer people is more lifelong. It's eternal, isn't it, really? Because we've all got a part in where that's missing, and until you fill that part with Christ, whether you're always going to be empty and you're always going to be searching for something. So these people have searched in the wrong direction, and they've looked to drugs and alcohol to fill the hole in the heart. Well, really, they need to look to Jesus to fill that hole.
They've done so much for me when we walk with God. Now it's a lot more stronger. I'm hearing from Him a lot more. Got more confidence in myself. I know what I want with my future now.
So now you're back in Doncaster. Mm-hmm. And what are you doing in Doncaster?
In Doncaster, basically I'm involved with 2 churches at the moment. One's English and one's obviously Nepali church. And in Nepali church, like I look after the youngsters there, because I take Sunday school as well, and basically like trying to like protect these people from like making the same mistake like what I did, you know. So basically, well, not just preaching at them, but like being a friend to them, taking them out for like movies and whatever, you know, and just like, you know, speaking to them like bit by bit, saying about the dangers of drugs, and even like, well, you don't have to be a drug addict to come to God, you know, because once you find God, your life can be beautiful. It's beautiful, yeah.
Teen Challenge, bringing the love of Jesus to you if you want it.